The goal of this video is to review how you would change your event schedule, either for a given meeting or for your standard meeting, or you might vary from week to week, the setup. Some clubs have one evening meeting, and then once or twice a month they might have a noontime meeting, something like that. These are all scenarios that you can support, and here's how you would do it. So this club is set up to meet every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. And let's just suppose that they have decided that too many people are showing up late for their meetings. And so rather than fight it, they're going to actually roll back their start time a little bit. So instead of starting at 6:30, they're going to start at 7 o'clock. So we'll change the start time, and we'll show both the start and the end time. And so it was going to 8 o'clock, and now we're going to go to 8:30. So it'll still be an hour and a half meeting, just starting a little bit later. So I made those changes. Now I'm making those changes over in this sidebar on the right. Now, one little tricky thing that you need to be aware of is the sidebar can be hidden in some views. So the idea here is this is distraction-free, concentrate on the content of your event, your blog post, whatever, and then to reveal that again, we would go up into this upper right-hand corner and click where it says Settings. And to see the settings of the document, we would select RSVP event as opposed to block, the individual content block that's highlighted at that moment. Now, when you first open up the editor, usually it will be showing the properties of the document as opposed to the block, but as soon as you select a given block, it doesn't have to be one of these custom ones for an agenda. It could just be a paragraph block. It would show the properties of that content block in the right-hand corner, but you can still switch back and see the properties of the whole document. And the date of the event, in the case of an event, is a property of the entire document, not just the properties of a particular paragraph. So that's how we would change it for one given date. What if we want to change it for all our dates? Well, actually, it tells me right up top that I'm editing one event in a series defined by a template, and there's a link over here to how we switch to the template view. So I can do that in just a moment. Before I do that, let me go back and say that there are some additional properties of the event document that can be revealed by clicking this button. So this also will allow us to set the date, but also a lot of different options about how we want our event to be displayed. We can change the RSVP form if we're collecting registrations for events. We can change the confirmation and reminder messages. And if it's an event that we were charging for, we could change the pricing. So those things are all displayed. Now, I'll show you in a moment that when we create a new draft of something, this box will be displayed right away, because generally when we're setting up an event, we want to have the date and time of that event set as one of the first things, even before we might add content to the document or customize the content of that document. And so, but once the thing is saved, once the event is saved, this will kind of go into the background until we need it again. So whenever we want to make adjustments to those settings, we can click there. Now, if we go over to the template, we'll see a slightly different sidebar. So instead of showing a specific date and time, it shows me some schedule properties like first, second, every, and then the days of the week. So this is how we would set up a schedule that was every day of the week, or maybe it's just the first and third Monday of the week that our club meets. So you should be able to set up your schedule that way. Now I'm going to show you in a minute how some clubs who have two different schedules that they adhere to, how they can have two different templates for that. So this is right now showing the 6:30 to 8 o'clock time frame, and we want to change that to be starting at 7 and ending at 8:30. So now we're going beyond changing it for just the one event. We're going to change it for all our upcoming events. And so we're going to change that here in the template. And once we click update on the template, we'll get a prompt to update all the events that were based on that template. So now if I view any of the individual events, I'll see that it starts at 7, it goes to 8:30. One other thing I wanted to show you is that if I want to make changes to the event options, like I was showing you before, instead of going to edit, I can go to event options, and that will open the editing screen, but with this editing section displayed for the different event parameters, like do we collect RSVPs, do we display the time zone, all that stuff is set back in this little pop-up control panel. So we can do that. Also, if we go back and look at the event, this little black bar up top, it will let us go through to edit the template if we want to edit in the editor, or we can go to template options, which again will do a similar thing. It opens it in the editor, but it gives us the options for a template, including the schedule options, as well as some of the standard settings that we have associated with all our events. Lovely. But my club has also decided that they want to hold a meeting every once in a while at noon. So once a month we're going to meet at noon instead of in the evening. And so how would we go about modeling that? I want to go back here, and we're going to say that the second Tuesday of the month we're going to meet at noon instead of meeting at an evening time. So I've actually updated this recently to make it easier to see that this is a second Wednesday and this is a second Wednesday, so that you can see how those dates line up with what was specified in the template. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to delete these because I want to label them as Wednesday events and have the schedule set up. Now I could go in and change them individually, but I want to show how we would do it sort of the quick way. So I'm going to find all my second Wednesday events that we're going to change to be at noon. So this is a second Wednesday. So I'm just checking them off, and I'm going to say move to trash everything that I have checked here. And so we've gotten most of them. I do have to scroll down here at the bottom. There's some when those were deleted, others popped up. So that one's the second Wednesday. We'll do move to trash again. And maybe I'll come up with a way of making it easier to designate that we should just switch the template rather than doing it this way. But for now, this is what you would have to do. You're going to go through and find all those things that were for the second Wednesday. I guess that's all of them now. So we're down to the end of the list. That's a third Wednesday, a first Wednesday. Looks like there should be no second Wednesdays left. And so what I'm going to do actually is I want to create a new template that includes most of the same details, but it's set up to be the second Wednesday meeting. And so I could do that a couple of different ways. One, I could grab any of these and I could do copy to new template. I could also look at the event templates listing, and if I look at the little menu options that pop up, well, Toastmasters meeting is our standard meeting template, and there is also a copy to meeting template here. So one more place I'll show you where this could be found. I'm trying to find multiple ways to help you get there. So if I've edited this specific event to be kind of what I want for all of my noontime template events, all the details are correct, I can go to new template, and again, it's copy to new template. So with any of these links, if I follow them, what I'm going to get is the same content loaded in, and it also has some of the settings carried over, like yes, we want RSVPs, yes, we want to show the time zone, just in case we're doing an online event. We want people to be able to see it from wherever. And we're going to set this in the template to second Wednesday at 12 p.m. So that's going to be just a 1-hour meeting. So it'll be a little bit shorter too, in addition to some of the other things we've changed. And we'll leave the rest of the options the same. So those parameters have now been updated, and I might need to make some changes too in the timing of the event and the number of activities. So maybe I go to Topics Master and we decide that instead of 15 minutes, that has to be limited to 10. Some of this stuff is easier to do. You could also go out to the organizer tool on the front page. I don't have a title in here, so I want to make this second Wednesday noon meeting, so that people who look at it quickly on the website will be able to see that these are the noon meetings as opposed to the evening meetings. And I will update that one more time. I'm going to go out and look at it on the website, and we see that we're working with the template. We could go into the organizer and maybe make some more changes. We can see that this is running a little bit more than an hour. It says based on the time allotted, the meeting will end at 1:02. So maybe we go through here, and we had some time allotted for the joke master. That's not really accounted for on the agenda. What else? Maybe we need to allow a little bit less time. So maybe it's only going to be 2 speakers and 2 evaluators. All right, and that means we're going to be wrapping up at 12:50, which is good if we're trying to squeeze in at lunch to maybe to have a little bit of slack left in the schedule. And there's a link down here to create update based on my changes, so I can follow that. And it projects out what all those second Wednesdays would be. So it would be October 11th, November 8th, and so on and so forth. It should actually give me an indication over here if there was a conflict with, say, a holiday. Or there's some of those things that can be programmed into the system. So we're going to go ahead and update this. And now we should go out and be able to see this. This is set up as a noon meeting. Right now the end time's not showing up, so maybe we'll change that. Or should check. Actually, we should change it back in the template. So go back here. Right now it says end time not displayed. We're going to say end time should be displayed as 1 o'clock. And this time it's going to give me the option to update everything that I created previously. So here we go. Now we have a noon to 1 p.m. meeting showing up. And we can see that these others are showing up as just Toastmasters meetings. So maybe we need to change that also. So we'll make this, Let's go back and edit the template. And we're going to say evening Toastmasters meeting. And again, we get the option to update. And if we go to the calendar page on this site, all right, now we'll see that there's one meeting for each date, but we're alternating between noon meetings and evening meetings. So that's what we're looking for. Now, I guess one more change that I might make is I'm going to go into one of these evening meeting events. Let's see. Actually, I want to go to the template. So if you're confused, here I am confusing myself. So I want to make this the first, not the second, the first, the third, the fourth, and the last, because sometimes there is actually a fifth Wednesday of the month, certain months. So we're going to select everything except the second meeting on Wednesday on this schedule. And with these settings, you should be able to accommodate most any schedule. I did wonder about the club that meets literally every other week. So it's not the first and the third, it's completely just alternating. I guess what I would do with that is you can set it up to be every week, and then when you go to that screen where you have to create or update the events, you just need to be careful about checking off alternate ones for one schedule or the other. It'll tend to work better if you have a definite first and third, second and fourth, something like that schedule. But this works pretty well. One other thing that I should show in the event options is there is an option to say, as part of my template options, I can say auto add dates. And so this is where the system will automatically keep adding dates as, you know, it doesn't plot them out into infinity. It adds them every once in a month or so. It's going to check to see if there are more dates coming up that should be added to the end of the schedule. So you can do it that way, or you can manually just refresh and update with additional dates from time to time. So I hope this has been useful. Check it out, and I'm doing my best to make some of this stuff easier to navigate over time.